following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. We are back indeed. Mets Talk in the Zone. I'm Ralph Tyko, Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. The two Met mavens are here, Robert Cole and Marty Rose. They're going to have at it and give you an expert opinion of what to do. Stay, hold, buy, sell. It's coming up. Start with you, Robert Cole. What's going on?
Well, that's a very good question, Ralph. I was caught by surprise yesterday when they made the announcement that they made the deal for Marcus Stroman. Had heard some rumors, but the rumors always said that they were going to get Stroman so they could trade Syndergaard. And one would expect one shoe to drop and then the other shoe. That has not happened yet. And it's very puzzling exactly what Brodie Van Wegenen has in his mind. I don't even know if he knows what he has in his mind.
Well, you mentioned something in conversation over the week that we guys have had, that Syndergaard could be going. They could be planning to get rid of Diaz and make Syndergaard the closer. Is that something that you read or surmised? Because, boy, that sure makes sense. Try him in the bullpen. He's got a world of stuff.
Yeah, I had come across a couple of different things where people, were suggesting that, including, I believe, a couple of scouts. And it does make sense, actually. Here you have a big guy like that can come in and not have to worry about how long he goes. Just come in and start firing. Mm-hmm. Of course, again with Brodie Van Wegenen, one never knows exactly what's in his mind. I don't think anybody does at this moment.
Well, before I ask Mert, I'm just going to say it isn't just a question of throwing hard as you can for as long as you can. It's can you bounce back the next day? And I think that's where the problem with Lugo, as effective as he is, when he pitches with rest, if he doesn't get that rest, you come up the next day, you need a closer, you're SOL. Mert?
Yeah. But, a prime example of someone who did that was John Smoltz. Smoltz was a starting pitcher for the longest time. The Braves needed a closer. He volunteered to do that, and he did it very well until he went back to starting again.
Eckersley was the same thing out here. He was a starter for a long time with Cleveland and becomes a great relief pitcher. Even had pitched a no-hitter or a perfect game at one time with Cleveland. So, it can happen. But I would, before I did that, I'd see how he could do with short days. Before I traded Diaz, I'd see how he came back on short days, on a short string, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't know what Marty thinks about it right now either. Find out in a second, but there's also the theory that nothing else is going to happen. They may trade Frazier, possibly Wheeler, but Wheeler's a situation where you can hold on to Wheeler. You probably have arguably the best starting staff in baseball right now. Okay,
especially the way Matz is going.
So maybe you just run out the string, keep Wheeler, and then at the end of the year, you can offer Wheeler a qualifying offer. And if he doesn't accept that, and they would probably hope he didn't accept it, then you get another draft choice. So, you have to weigh. You have to weigh whether a draft choice, a high draft choice, would be more valuable than something that they could get right now, considering, he's going to be a free agent. So,
and you got the injury factor. If Wheeler can stay healthy, it changes a lot of things both ways. either to keep him or for another team. How much do they want him? So that's a factor. A lot of question marks. Marty, what do you think?
Well, first of all, what just happened the last couple of days, I think is pretty much of a wash. Getting Stroman and getting rid of Vargas. It's as a matter of fact, I hope Stroman can pitch as well as Vargas has the last couple of months. An ERA of under 4 these days, is pretty good, and Vargas has pitched well. As far as the other guys, I don't think Syndergaard is going to be a closer. I think that they're going to probably try to still move him, before the deadline. And if they do that, then they're going to keep Wheeler. They're not going to get rid of both of those guys. That wouldn't make any sense. I would like to see them try to trade Diaz. They need to get a center fielder from someplace. I mean, this is killing them every single day.
Lagares is great on D, but he's like hitting 189, something like that.
Yeah, and his D isn't as good as it used to be either. You could see he's not. But he's older. What do you expect? You want a guy that could hit decently and has great range in the outfield. You can take if a guy can hit 270, 275, 280 maybe, and with speed and a lot of range in the outfield. That's what they need. They can afford
You got your man in short who has struggled defensively, and that would make a natural natural shift.
Yeah, but you know what? We've spoken about this. I've heard other people, bring it up on the air, but I haven't heard anything from the team about the possibility. Even the writers that cover the team on a daily basis, I haven't even seen them, talk about that very much. They're not going to just throw them out there. Like I said once before, if they're serious about that, they got to send them to the Arizona Fall League and let them work on it. I wouldn't mind that, but this guy has proven he can hit. He's getting better hitting all the time, and he's improving every year.
And he's had a couple of weeks of a streak of a couple of weeks really playing good defense. And
lately.
And let's not forget that when he was coming up, the thought was, can he hit? His defense was, when he was playing in A-ball, they said he could play in the big leagues now defensively.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was just a slump. Maybe it was lack of concentration. Because when he's playing well defensively, not just him, when any team has a good shortstop, it makes a world of difference.
No question.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I want to cover a guy that we talked about during the week and who has frustrated all three of us for 2 or 3 years now, is Conforto. He is such a streak hitter that you got to wonder why. Is there anything either of you can determine as to what causes his massive slumps?
Well, over the years, there have been players like this, can carry a team 2 or 3 weeks, and then basically go silent for a couple, 3 weeks, and then come back again. It's hard to say. And like I say, there have been guys like this throughout baseball history, and I think
you wouldn't mind it if he were carrying a team for a couple of weeks, but it's a long time since he's done that. I mean, and Alonso is now hit. Speaking of guys who have been carrying the team, McNeil gets hurt the other day. Apparently not serious, but we'll see about that. With any reports you get from med doctors,
he should be back. He should be back tomorrow. He should be back tomorrow. What they're saying. So
that's good. But the other thing.
Alonso hasn't hit since the All-Star break, really. That's what he was saying. Yeah.
Yes, and that's one that I did worry about when he won the home run hitting contest, and he got all the hype. He comes out of the All-Star break hot as hell, so people stopped talking about it. But he's slumped lately.
He has, and Keith Hernandez mentioned something the other day that he's noticed that he's starting to become a dead pull hitter, which was not what he was doing when he first came up, and he's got to go back to just hitting the ball. Great, 500-foot home runs, pull down the line, great to watch, but there's still only, one run, and he was much more valuable when he was, spraying the ball around. He can hit the ball out of any ballpark. So it's not necessary for him to become a pull hitter.
Right. And I think that's called home run-itis. And anything that one does, either deliberately or subconsciously, to prepare for the stage of the home run hitting contest, this, that, or the other thing, it's a factor. One way or the other, it's going to be a factor. You're going to change something, try to hit home runs when the idea is just be yourself. Hit the ball as hard as you can. Home runs will take care of itself.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Judge went through the same thing.
Yeah, I think the season has got something to do with it too. As the season progresses, these guys got to be feeling a little, a little tired and weary. I mean, I don't care how young you are, you're out there. It's just basically every single day, like 3-4 hours or whatever. I don't know, including how long they are actually at the ballpark. It's probably 6, 7, 8 hours every single day out there in the heat. I mean, it's got to take something out of you. I always thought that guys going to slow down in the second half. I think, they do call it the dog days, and there's a reason, seriously.
For sure.
And that's why the Cubs always folded all those years playing in the daytime in the heat all year. And it just takes its toll. It does.
And McNeil and Alonso were both in the All-Star game, and they both said that it was very wearing, not just you played a couple of innings, but, all the different activities, and you have to show up for, the press and all that kind of stuff. I know McNeil said he was exhausted coming out of the All-Star game.
Right.
I believe it.
Let me get to something. Since the All-Star game, if you say, notwithstanding those 4 games with the Giants, which they won one of those games they won big, and the other 3 they lost in long, grueling exhibition games where they pitched well.
Could have gone either way. Right.
Could have gone either way.
Right.
So had 2 of those games gone the other way, we'd be going, holy Toledo, look at what's gone down since the All-Star game. Could they get back into contention?
They could have been 12-3. 12-3 instead of 10-5 since the game.
Right.
Yeah, but
and at that point, we might be saying, and I'm thinking it in the back of my mind because I'm Pollyanna and I'm looking for something to feel good about with this team. I've had 60 years of practice doing it. Fooling myself, Jason Bay, or, I call Jason Bay and myself. Feeling good for a minute is all it takes with me. And I'm thinking, this team is playing good. They get Stroman in addition. I would say he's a step up from Vargas.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But also, saying that, Ralph, you can take something good out of that Giant series. Okay, the fact that they've come back and didn't let that wreck their season, okay, like last year, when they went into the doldrums, never came out of it until way deep in the season. Well,
right.
They came out of that. Okay, they
and
came
the
out of
bullpen,
that.
Yeah.
Justin
Bullpen pitched well.
Wilson, Luis Avilan, Wilson and Avalon made a big difference. Lugo only has to be used, one inning at a time. And, so you can take that out of that Giant series. I mean, they could have been crushed and done, and, we'd be burying them already, and yet they've come out of it. And now they're in the part of the season, and Marty mentioned this several times, where these are games that they can now win. Now, can they? We don't know. But they've come out of the hard part of this season. This is the part of the season where they can, get some victories. So they did get beat 3 out of 4 games in San Francisco, but they've come out of it, and they're still playing hard.
And San Francisco was streaking going into that series and have streak coming out of that series. So they've gone above 500 for the first time, and that amazes me too, because Longoria started playing well for them, and you could attribute that to part of the reason they started playing so well. But then he got hurt, and they continue to play well. The one guy I want you guys to look at, he's amazing, is Pablo Sandoval. If you look back at the career this guy's had, it's unbelievable. He's like Bernie Cola. What's his name? The pitcher. The big fat pitcher. Anyway, he's a hitting machine, and he's got 3 rings, and they're a very interesting team. And my point is that the Mets didn't just didn't lose to a team that was chopped liver. They're good. So
yeah. And that's why I say, you can still take something good out of that Giant series. That, the fact that they've come back and they're starting to play well. So, now you have to wonder what's going to happen over the next couple of days, and then how do they come out of that? Nobody knows.
We spoke about this part of the season, a couple of times, that this is the soft part of the schedule, and they did well. They did well on the home part of it, but now you got the next 10 games on the road. But White Sox, Pirates, Marlins, all winnable games. But they haven't played as well on the road as they have at home. But they're playing weaker teams. So we all had said that.
You mentioned the Pirates. Until they were playing the Mets, they had been playing pretty decent baseball.
Well, I think they came in on a bit of a losing streak.
Yeah, they did.
I think maybe before that they might have been playing well. But.
That's true. That's true, because I've been following them for Alan Blumpkin, the Pirate fan, who lives and dies, and I haven't even talked to him about him being swept. But I don't take much joy in sweeping another team, because I know that's right around the corner. I can't for us, it seems. So. All in all, I'm glad to hear that you guys have a bit of positive attitude, that this season could turn out to be one of those that could shock us. I always remember 73 and how they were counted out and how they were taking polls, ballots in the New York Post, these Who's going to get fired? Is it going to be Doe? Is it going to be Grant? Is it going to be Cashin? Is it going to be Yogi? And what have you? And Callaway seems to have escaped. There was a time there where we were going day to day with him, and he seems to have escaped that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so far, I mean, I just go back a couple of years. That year that they picked up Cespedes in the trade. I mean, they were down and out and counted out, and then they made those couple of different trades, Cespedes and a couple of the other guys, and they came flying down the stretch. So you never know. Of course, we're not going to see Cespedes this year, but who knows what's going to happen.
Anything on Lowry? Is there any possibility that we'll get a live body someday?
Ralph, I'll be playing in Citi Field before he is.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. What number would you rather have from the equipment manager? It used to be Dan Norman or something like that. But who's giving out the numbers, and what number will we give you?
Give me 89.
All right. Well, how about this? Here we go. Now, is my best Bob Shepard. Now batting for the Mets, number 89, Robert, don't call me Bob, Cole, number 89.
You know what that brings back memories of? Okay, if you guys remember back in the 50s when Roberto Clemente first came with the Pirates.
Right,
and they
exactly.
Tried so
Bobby.
hard to turn him into Bob Clemente.
Right.
Because they felt that was more American sounding.
Right, exactly. That was the age we lived in. This is purely out of the blue, but Alan Blumpkin, the baseball encyclopedia and maven on this station, per supreme guy, said something in a post the other day that is really food for thought. He says, I have a hard time legitimizing anything that went on in baseball in terms of records and comparing guys before 1947. The breaking of the color barrier changed the game so much. The more we look back, the older we get, we can appreciate it. You have to say it's a totally different game from 47 on than it was post or pre-war.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. Except, I wouldn't say 47. I mean, it happened slowly after that. I mean, I don't think it really peaked until maybe the mid 1960s, to tell you the truth.
Even maybe in the 50s, by the end of the 50s, think how many MVPs and home run champions and this, that, and the other thing. Banks won it a couple of 3 years in a row.
That's true.
Campanella.
Right, you had Aaron and Mays come up at those days. Yeah, very true.
Frank Robinson. And whatever Roberto Clemente was, whatever they called them, which it shows you the absurdity of it all. Like Minnie Minoso, is he black? Is he Cuban? Or what Cuban, isn't black? This, that, or the other thing. It's all crazy. It's also nuts in the first place. But I guess my point is. We stop to think, what a revolution, and thank God for Branch Rickey.
True. Yeah. And then you have to remember, too, that...
And good pizza, too. Thank God for good pizza and Branch Rickey, in no particular order. I'm getting as spiritual as I get right now. So, all right. Anything that comes to mind, either of you? I'm going to start with Robert. That you want to weigh in on?
Well, I'm waiting with kind of bated breath for the next 2 days to go by to see what we have come, Wednesday night. I have no clue whatsoever of what's going on. I mean, you listen to these guys on the MLB network, they don't have a clue. They don't know whether the Mets are buyers or sellers, what Rody Van Wagenen's going to do. Is he going to trade Diaz to the Red Sox? Is he going to trade Syndergaard to the Padres? Is he going to trade Wheeler to I think now it's the Astros? And it's hard to get a fix.
Isn't
like
there who was the Boston closer last year, and isn't he still out there as a free agent?
Who's that?
No, isn't that the guy he signed with the Braves? Yeah, I think he did. He was one of those guys that was holding out up until almost the All-Star game.
Kimbrel.
Yeah, I think
Kimbrel.
he signed with the Braves, didn't he? Yeah, I think he did.
Kimbrel signed with Tyko. Who did Tyko sign with?
Houston, maybe?
I can't even remember anymore.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one with brain farts.
It happens when you're 72, Ralph. We're all in the club. We're all in the club now.
I know, and as I realized that I'm the head of the club. You're younger than both of us, Robert.
Yeah. Well, until today, Ralph, when I turned 72, I was sharp as a tack. And then, come midnight last night, my memory is gone.
See, I never noticed that, but that got by me. All right. I kid because you're both sharper than hell, and if I may be so humble, I don't think any of us, either of the three of us, are losing it all that much.
No, other than my hair, I think we're all pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
hey, Ralph.
All right, guys. Great show.
Let's do one soon. After the trading deadline.
I'm right there.
Yeah, it's been quiet, hasn't it? I mean, up to this point, very
with
quiet.
Everybody. With everybody.
For everybody.
That's why the Stroman thing was so shocking. I thought they were either they're gonna just sell off. And
I'm really shocked the Yankees haven't done anything. The Yankees, their pitching is horrible.
Oh, it's
horrible! I can't believe they didn't make a move yet.
They were
waiting
so
for the
close
last minute.
to the Bumgarner move until the Giants started playing better.
Right.
And he started pitching better. And
they're only two games from the wild card, I believe, right now. The Giants.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Mets are like 6 games out of the wild card.
Something like that. There's a lot of teams ahead of them, but still.
Yeah.
Keep winning. That's all.
And I don't, if I'm not mistaken, unless I'm missing the boat, nobody's running away with it in the East.
Well, we'll have to see. I think the Braves are in a good position.
Washington's playing better than I thought they would. I thought at the beginning of the year Washington was playing really badly. I thought that they were going to stay there, but they've improved.
Maybe their bullpen has come around a little bit.
Well, a little bit, but they're trying to add a couple of bullpen arms, and then Scherzer was put on the IL today too. So
right, that's true.
We'll have to see how that affects.
And making a deal, what was it with Philadelphia for that catcher? What does that tell you?
I think they just dumped Vargas. I really think that was all about that situation we talked about with the writer from Newsday. and like Vargas never apologized. And I think from that point on, they were going to get rid of him no matter what.
Yeah, well, he
because
was gone
they got
anyway.
nothing for him. They got nothing for him.
No.
This guy is hitting 195 in Double-A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess there wasn't much of a market for him. I thought somebody like the Rays might come along and try to get him.
Didn't they have a team option on him for next year? Vargas? Didn't they? Was it a team option or a player option? There's a difference.
Yeah, I think it was a team option, and if you don't do the option, there's a buyout. Now the Phillies are on the block for the buyout, but the Mets are picking up the rest of this year's contract, as well as a $250,000 moving clause.
Well, Mert, you just moved. It does cost $250, doesn't it?
It's expensive to move. I can tell you that. Yeah,
I know. You had to go through it, so why shouldn't you?
Be going through it again in January. So.
Right. How's that for the RDI that doesn't know? Mert, you're in an apartment again. That's been a while.
No, I'm renting a house in Jacksonville at the moment, and this is my third year there. But I had both my daughters with us for a while, and then they both got jobs in Orlando, much better than the jobs they had in Jacksonville. So they moved just recently. They moved into a house together in like the southwest part of Orlando, pretty close to Disney World. And I'm actually there right now. Peggy and I are going back to Jacksonville tomorrow. But because we have to do babysitting when the baby's sick, and my girls still have to go to work, we're going to be moving down to this area in January, somewhere.
Beautiful. So. And you've looked around a little bit?
Oh yeah, we placed an application already for a townhouse, and about 25 minutes from here. So if we get that, we'll be maybe an hour from where you are, Robert. So
all right, we'll have to get together and invite Ralph over.
Absolutely.
Getting closer. And that may not be far off too. It's about time that we got it together. That would be fun.
It would be.
All right. Marty, anything you have hanging out in your mind that you want to clear up, or anything?
Nothing special. I think they've been playing well lately. I'm really, really big on getting a center fielder. I mean, that's got to be priority number one. I mean, Conforto just can't play out there, and I don't even know if Nimmo's even coming back this year, but he's not really a center fielder either, even though I think he can play out there better than Conforto does. He's not a center fielder either. So right. they really need to make a move there somehow. And I've never been a big Conforto fan. As you were talking about earlier, what's with him, I think what you see is what he is, and he's never going to be any better. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's sad because when he's stroking, that guy can hit.
Well, he's going to give you 30 home runs thereabouts every year. And he's going to
but he wipes it away with the .245 batting average. 30 home runs are commonplace anymore.
Right.
I mean,
very few are in clutch situations.
Right.
And as far as Marty mentioning a center fielder, the Padres have a center fielder that the Mets would like. They don't want to give him up. Okay, a couple of other teams that the Mets have talked to, in regard to Syndergaard, don't want to give up the prospects that the Mets are asking back in return. And you're almost, you may be better off waiting till the off season to try to do a trade, for Syndergaard.
Right.
I'm at the point now where I'm actually hoping that nothing else happens. Trade Frazier, okay? If you get some interest in Wilson Ramos, fine. Let Nito become the everyday catcher. But other than that, I'd be perfectly happy with nothing else happening till the off season. And let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Nito is clearly the best defensive catcher they've had in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah. And his hitting has been better when he's been, when he gets a chance to play. He's got a few hits. Doesn't have the power that Ramos has.
He runs out the ball. There's some guys that you just don't root for because they don't seem to give a damn. Like Conforto walks in with a smile on his face no matter what's happening. They just get 6 runs. They hang 6 on the Mets. He catches the final out, and he walks in like chewing gum and laughing. And I don't see intensity.
Likes that $4 million, Ralph. I'd be smiling.
Me too. But you know what? All 3 of us are smiling with or without the $4 million.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. Yep. Let's keep it that way. Love you guys. Be well.
Yeah, you too. See you next time.
Thanks for listening, everybody. The best Met podcast on the internet. I can say that because I'm a lying sack of shit. No, I can say that because I mean it. All right, everybody. Be well. Come back next week, and we'll see you then. Adios.
Good night.